All right, I think I might be live right now. Seems a little scary, doesn't it? Ooh, so scary. All right, well, get to work. My daughter wants stuff from me, so I must produce. Got to make stuff. Got to keep the daughters happy. How this life works, right? All right, let's see what we can do. So, she was telling me last night that she wants this. So, I'm going to try to follow those instructions. And apparently, that's her picture of me. Yeah, see? A picture of me. Apparently, that's what I look like. And this is what I need to recreate. Or just create. Not necessarily recreate. Whoa. All right. Let's see what I can do here. I'm going to need the table saw. And shouldn't need this right now. And I might need that. Let's see. I should need some maple wood. And I think we were looking at this piece to use. Got a little bit of burning on that when I cut it the last time. But let's verify that it's going to be long enough. So right now it's about 18.5 inches, which is more than enough. So try cutting it up. What do you say? So I'm going to go for about 3/4 of an inch. And I'll lock that in. And need to raise this up. All right. And I think I'll try cutting that like there. And I'm going to need that guy. And I'm going to need some hearing and vision protection. You know what I'm talking about. Hey, Cedar Grow Box, thanks for being here. All right, let's give you the best view we can on cutting up some maple wood. Here we go. All right. And that should be just about right. And I'm going to need to plug it in first. Strange how sometimes my table saw won't work when it doesn't have any power. Don't you think? All right. This should be better. All right, I should have lowered my blade there on that last couple of cuts. And hopefully these aren't too thin because I didn't have, those weren't as even as what I was hoping, but I'm not that worried about them being square and everything. 0.72, 0.69. I mean, I should still be okay on those because I'm still going to be removing more material, but not as much material as I was thinking I was going to have to. All right. Let's see. Number one shop safety rule. Should have gone to Milwaukee. Love you, Cedar Grow Box. Love your Milwaukee. Cedar Grow Box loves his Milwaukee. I am relatively tool agnostic. I like the DeWalt for a few different reasons, but mostly because it's a good value for what you get. I really like that this has the rack and pinion fence, but I'd definitely be open to other brands. All right, let me get some stuff in the shop reorganized here so that I can access the tools I want. So I'll move this bandsaw, and I'll move this bandsaw, and I'll move this miter saw. But I might be using this miter saw a little bit later. I'll just throw them over here in this corner. And then let's get to the lathe. My little there you go. Need to be able to push that down far enough. All right. All right. And don't have to engage every wheel, just enough to get it situated and then stopped. There we go. If you haven't guessed yet, I am thinking to use the lathe. Dun, dun, dun. And here's the lathe. All right. Hey, Keith Brewer, thanks for being here. Born and raised on Milwaukee. Just teasing. Oh, I know, Cedar. You love your Milwaukee. All right, so let's get a mallet here, and hopefully I didn't cut off too much here, but we'll find out. And really, I should cut those square. So rather than worrying about the miter saw, I think I will pull out the table saw again and use the crosscut sled. Okay. Means I need to move fence out of the way so that I can fit the crosscut sled back in. Go. All right. Those are the offcuts, the scrap. This is what I care about today. I'll move my stop block over there so it's out of the way. I just want those squared off the itziest little bit. So I'm just going to take off not even a blade width on those. And I got to plug it all back in because of my short-sightedness. But it's a good thing I've got safety glasses on so I don't have actual short-sightedness. All right, here we go. All right. So those should be relatively squared now. And because I made these a little thinner than what I was wanting to, I think I need to make my center mark a little bit more exact. So hopefully I don't have too much trouble with that. All right. Well, got to be careful here. Got a little bit of a crack there. So actually I've got a crack going all the way down there. Maybe I need to shorten these now instead of thinking to shorten them up later. What's my length now? Maybe I'll have to start with some different pieces here. So that's disconcerting, but I think this might be my practice. Let's do this one first. We'll do it as a practice, and if it doesn't go well, then oh well. And that's not even close. I'm going to get something that's a little bit easier to control. closer to center than I think I had over here. There we go. Whatever. All right. Let's just get this going. All right. So that over here. And then want that nice and secured. And then on this guy, I had to line him up. Oh. And then secure him down. Let's see if I'm actually, oh, there we go. Helps if I've got the underside actually in a position to be tightened. All right, and then push that in. Oh, you know what? That didn't go quite as far as I wanted. So I'm gonna try to tighten that enough that it's actually grabbing on over here. I've noticed that that's been an issue in the past. Hmm. See if it's all right. So it's pushing it the wrong direction here. It's pushing this out instead of pushing the maple into the tines there. So I'm going to back this off. And then see if I can get this tighter. All right, so I definitely see this moving, but is it moving this back? Huh. Yeah, it doesn't really seem to be digging in over there very much. Yeah, that's not going to work. Yeah, it's more connected to this side than to this side. That is a problem. So there we go. All right, so I'm going to try pounding this on better. All right, so looks like I might be splitting the wood here. It's not exactly what I was hoping for, but yeah, whatever. All right, and then try and have some good tension, but not so much that it won't spin. All right, let's see how that does. Do that down there. And all right. Gotta plug this thing in. And see how it does here. Give it a little test spin before we start trying to cut anything. That seems like it might work. Let's give it a shot. So get out some lathe tools here. Start with this guy. All right. And let's see if I can get him. Okay. Apparently that's as close as it'll let me get. All right. I'm going to go with about that height. And about that distance. All right, so this is an older lathe, so it doesn't have all the bells and whistles of the newfangled stuff, but hopefully it still works. All right, see what we can do. Hey, tracking me over here? All right. Actually, let's see if we can move this a little bit so that um, our tracking um, our tracking camera can also get in on the action. All right, let's try that. And I'll move my lathe tools to back here. There we go. How's that for a setup? Is that better? I'll come a little bit closer. And then hopefully this gives us our more extreme close-up look. And we'll lock that down, lock that down. There we go. All right. Let's see if that gives us the views that we want on there. It's probably pretty close, right? Okay. And here we go. All right, so I'm getting a lot of vibration in the center. I mean, this is a relatively long piece, but I've just barely taken off the edges here of in some places, but in others haven't really even done that. So let's keep going. All right, so that's what I was concerned might happen. Remember that crack that I was talking about? So I got this part mostly rounded, but it doesn't really matter when it breaks off. Good thing this was just the test piece, right? Because, yeah, that's going to be, if I cut that off, I cut that off where the crack came through, that gives me a maximum about 14.5 inches, which is a couple of inches too short. So let's see if, yeah, and this one is cracked right through here, right through there as well. So if I use this guy and I look at the end of the crack, that only gives me about 15.5 inches, which is too short. Darn it. So I think I'm going to need to start with a different piece of maple. Sad but true. Hey Eric, how's it going? Good to see you. All right, let me see what else I've got in the maple pile. Come with me if you dare. We've got maple to the right and willow to the left, and some mostly maple offcuts in the middle. So, all right, this is a longer piece here. Let's see if it is clean enough. So it has lots of cracking up here. And then, yeah, that's that's not going to work because it's got a lot of bark on the bottom side. So bark is not what I'm looking for on this particular build. Let me get the ruler here. Hey, Baldy. Thanks, Eric. Who is Cedar Growbox? Who is Cedar Growbox? Is that a joke? Dude, you got to subscribe. Cedar, put your link in the chat so that people can subscribe to you and know what is the joy of Cedar Growbox. All right, so yeah, that's 20 some inches long. That's 18-ish, but again, that's not flat all the way through. A lot of this is not flat. Wrote that 19. Let's see if we can get by with this guy without dropping everything else. All right, looks okay for the moment. All right, let's see if this guy is going to be any good for us. I don't know. We got a big crack there and a lot of smaller cracks over here. Um, hmm. Do I give it a try? Hmm. So I've only got about 3 inches of waste. Hmm. I don't think I should dare because I've got cracks going. more into it than I think maybe I need to start with something longer like this guy, or maybe that guy. Um, let's see. That's almost 2 feet long. All right. But on this one, I've got deeper cracks that permeate through. So even though it's longer, I've got more significant cracking. So I might need to do some epoxy filling before I do this project. It's not turning out how I wanted. What about this guy? This guy has more length. It seems like there's some imperfections everywhere that could cause some big problems. So I've got cracking all the way along here, so I don't think I can use anything over there. I've got that there, and cracking here and there. Over here might work. I mean, this doesn't look promising right in here, but that might be more surface level than anything. So if I take off a couple of inches here, a couple of inches over here, I might be okay with this over there. So let's give it a try. Famous last words. All right. So let's use the miter saw this time. And plug them in. We'll connect the dust collection. All right. There we go. Doesn't that look great? You can tell me in the comments how great that looks. And kind of take off some length here. Put that there, but how much do I need to take off over here? About that much. And let me make sure that that still leaves me enough length overall. Oh, hey, Vincent, thanks for the gift, man. Appreciate that. I don't drink coffee, Vincent. um, let's see. I have auto translate on now. Oh my goodness! I thought you were teasing me because auto translate is on everybody else's. It seems so. Let me see if I can change that. Um, no, apparently not. Not at the moment, anyway. There we go. And moderation, timestamps, reactions. Yeah, I don't see an option for changing the auto translate options. Okay, but all right. And Vincent going to bed. Oh man, maybe not. All right. Let's see. So yeah, if I take off a couple of inches there, should be fine. Let's try it. All right. So you guys see that? That doesn't look great. That doesn't look great. Over here looks like it could be okay. And over here, got a little bit of cracking in there, it seems like. So let me see what my length is here. So I'm at 19. Let me take off another inch over here and see if that gets me to where I need to be. So right about there. It looks pretty clean, don't you think? So I think that could work. If I use a couple strips from over here. Is over here still isn't going to work that great, I don't think. But if I use a couple strips from over here, although I do have this piece right in here, I'm not sure how deep that goes. That could be a problem. Hmm. All right. Let me do some more cutting, but not with the miter saw. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to disconnect the vacuum, not turn it on. There we go. All right, so let's send the miter saw into the corner for the moment. And move the lathe over. Get our, let's see, I don't want to do the table saw yet, I don't think. Let's use the band saw. So it's a good thing that I moved it out of the way earlier, right? Oh, gonna have to wonder how many times I'm gonna move the lathe before we're done today. All right. And we use this bandsaw. And I'm still learning to drive this one. So apologies if it seems like my wife is at the wheel. All right. I was actually joking about my wife being not the greatest driver recently at a doctor's appointment. And right after we left, I actually ran a red light accidentally. I was like, oh, who's the bad driver now? So I'm just going to free cut this without the fence, just so I'm getting close to where I want to be. And then I can use a jig to make it a little cleaner. All right, so just say that I want to remove that. All right, so I'm going to connect my dust collection up to the bandsaw. Let's see, what am I making? That is a great question. If only I knew. No, I'm making something for my daughter that she requested last night. So I'm not sure how well it's going to come out, but she wanted me to make it out of maple wood. So if you can guess what it is that I'm making, I would be very impressed. And if you can't guess, then I will just tell you here in a little bit. So put your guesses in the chat as to what you think I'm making for my daughter that she requested last night. And you can tell a little bit from, I had this on the lathe. So I was trying to make this whole thing into a cylinder. And there's supposed to be two that are matching. So those are your clues so far. But I'll give you some more hints probably later. ATP. Oh, hey, ATP. What time is it for me here? It is just a couple of minutes past midnight. All right. So I'm just going to try to take off this stuff that is obviously cracked and see try to give it as straight as line as I can. And then I'll probably get out my my jig. Although I'm not sure if my jig will do, so I might have to get out the jointer. So, and that isn't that flat. So, yeah, it didn't flatten these slabs as well as I'd hoped, or maybe Let's see. I'll just try to follow that line on this side, and we'll just get it as good as we can. Let's see. Wish you could use your saws at night without waking up my wife. Yeah, my wife often doesn't like for me to have my saws on at night. I close all the doors, and sometimes she's tired enough that it doesn't matter. Other times it doesn't take very many times of me turning on the saw before she's very upset and calling down to me saying, "What do you think you're doing?" So far tonight, I haven't gotten any mean calls. So I'll just keep going until I do. You know what I found is that my bandsaw often works a lot better if I plug it in before I try turning it on. Have you guys ever had that with yours? Let me know in the comments if you have more success with your bandsaws plugging them in or leaving them unplugged. All right, here we go. All right, so that's kind of some cool coloration on this. And let's see how I did on. Ooh, looks like I was able to get most of the visible cracking and stuff on the offcut. So for the most part, I think that looks pretty good. That might be a little concerning. I'm not sure if I'm showing you on the camera very well or not. So, all right, I'm going to get out the jointer. And we'll clean that edge off and go from there. All right. Move this guy out of the way. Well, move the bandsaw out of the way. Didn't mean to move the camera out of the way, but I'll end up moving the camera anyway so that I can move the bandsaw out of the way. But I don't want to move it too far out of the way because it still has my workpiece. All right. And now I need to get to the jointer, which is, of course, buried in the corner. So move all this stuff over here and put some stuff away here so I have room for the jointer. All right. And let's see, ATP in France. I think you guys are 6 hours ahead of us, right? So are you at 6 a.m.-ish? Is that right? All right, and then, of course, my jointer doesn't quite fit there in the dust port, so I'll just use some painter's tape to connect it together. Seems like they are pretty much the same size, so that should work. All right. Looks like this has been a little bit dusty here. All right. And just call that good. And plug in the jointer because I've learned my lesson, right? Let's see. Don't have one yet, so 0 success with my bandsaw. Sad. Let's see. Cedar grow box. Never have any luck with my bandsaw. I thought you would relinquish me from its disappointment. Sorry. And I have mine connected to a bicycle crank. Everyone is wise to it now. Doesn't want to help me do woodwork anymore. Nice. 8 hours ahead. Okay. I was thinking you were 1 hour behind the UK, but apparently you're 1 hour ahead. So yeah, 8 hours ahead of me. 6 hours ahead of East Coast. Yep. 8 a.m. just waking up. Time to get my daughter ready for school and then hit the workshop. Nice. Right on the money. It's all of France in one time zone or other too. I'm only aware of the one that was in Paris. But I remembered it was 1 hour different from the UK, but I think I just went the wrong direction because why not? All right, so I think I'm ready to start going away here. And all right, get some dust collection going. I feel like I'm going the wrong direction on that. It's really fighting me. I probably should be coming from the other side, but I'm also not going to worry about it too much because I'm not sure that this is going to work anyway, because of the knots that I've got in this one. So I kept going to try and get rid of the knots here and here and here. There was another knot up here that I did get rid of, but this knot here looks like it goes from there to there. This here goes through there, so that's not going to work, which means I probably have to remove at least to there, which means I'm looking at using something over here. And I'm not sure if that's going to give me enough length. So, kind of striking out on my maple wood. Well, that might still work. It'll be questionable, but it might just could work. Let's see what it gives me if I just cut off to there. What does it look like past that? So, go back to our table saw, which means I'm going to have to clean off all the stuff that I just put on the table saw. Okay. Let's see. Oh, looks like I'm a little behind on the chat here. Here we go. There are at least 2 versus an hour or 2 ahead of us. Oh, really? Okay. Wife would have brought me divorce papers by now using the planer and dust collector. Neighbors would not be happy. Yeah, my wife a while ago was trying to make me be quieter at night by invoking our neighbors. And she's like, the neighbors are probably not happy with you using all that stuff at night. And so I talked to the neighbor who's closest to the shop. It's like, hey, do I bother you at night? And he's like, never heard a thing. Don't notice at all. And my wife was very frustrated with that response because she was hoping that the neighbor would be her salvation from late night shop noises. All right. So I want to take off as little as I have to here. Let's try to there. All right, let's try it. And got to plug this guy in now. Hopefully at some point I can be somewhere better and have an actual real shop space, not attached to the house. Yeah, this is attached to the house. And I found that the worst possible places for me to be making noise are on the workbench, which is exactly where the jointer is right now, because my workbench is secured to the wall. And so any noise that I make on the workbench reverberates not only on the workbench, not only on the tool, but also the workbench and the wall. And so it shakes a lot of the house. I mean, not a lot of the house, but it makes noise. that my wife is not happy about. So, all right, let's see if that's going to work. Just envision that's going to cut off right around there. So hopefully that's enough. Take just a sliver more, or a little sliver less. And it's probably not going to be enough, but we'll see. All right. That's hot. Okay. So, I mean, I don't know how well you can see this, but there's a little bit. It feels like that's mostly gone. Doesn't really look like it goes through, but that still goes through more. That's frustrating. It looks like that goes all the way across. Son of a... That could definitely cause a problem. When I get to the lathe. So, well, let's throw this on the lathe. We'll see how much of a problem it causes. And if it doesn't work, oh well. If it does work, great. And we can cut more pieces and go at it some more. So, let me move our lathe over here. My goodness. There we go. All right. And I have a little bit more thickness on this one than I did on the last. But I also need to take off and square those edges. So, so let me bring this back over. And try to give you all a view of what it is exactly that I'm doing, even if I don't exactly know. At least you'll be witness. So I just want to take off Enough there to square it. All right. Need that a little higher. There we go. Okay, that should work. So I'll get the table saw out of the way again. And move you over to the lathe again. To see me mess up over here. I mean, to see me work on the lathe. All right. And I'm not going to worry about centering it exactly. I'm going to figure that that is close enough to the middle. And get out the mallet. All right. Get it so that that's grabbing into it some at least. All right. And try to get the middle here, give or take. And lock down the tailstock. And drive that in. Then back it off a little so it'll actually spin. Okay. And I'm going to back this guy off a little bit. About there. All right. Let's see if that works. It spins. It's not coming off. Good sign, right? All right. Been ignoring you too much. That's true. I'm sorry, ATP. I'll try to do better. One day I'll have a shop that's separated, be able to do work whenever. Much rather do my lives around 7 p.m. my time. That's when the audience is online. Yeah, it makes sense. Gotta get your daughter to school. All right. Not that character. Yeah. Yeah. They had something. Adventure. Sense of danger, maybe. All right. Let's see. I wonder if the maple has already dulled my my tool too much. Guess we'll find out. And I might need to raise this a little, but probably not too much. Probably not at all, really. All right, let's try it. You know what? I forgot. When I'm working on the lathe, I don't just wear my eye protection, I wear my face protection. And I don't usually worry about my ears. Although maybe I should. All right, here we go. How do I look? Hmm? I think I need to be lower. Let's try that. All right, so I seem to be getting a lot of chatter right at that knot, which is not exciting for me. Yeah, because that knot goes all the way through. But also, just I get a lot of vibration in the center. So let me try bringing my tool rest. Ugh. I don't want to push too hard on that because I don't want to slam my hand into the motor over here. All right, so I'm going to bring it over to the other side and just see how it does over here. Come on, be nice to me, tool rest. There we go. All right. You'd think that something built in the 1930s would be much smoother, right? All right. So let me get it a little closer with Arid Extra Dry. Those of you who remember commercials from decades ago. Showing my age a little bit there, I suppose. All right. Huh. Wasn't able to take hardly anything off over here. All right, I'm not sure if you guys can even see. Let me see here if I'm even on screen for you guys. Okay, yeah, it looks like it. I can get closer than that, right? That's still on screen for you? I think so. All right. I'm going to switch to a different tool that is maybe a little sharper and not quite as wide. And we'll see if that does any better for us right now. Also, I think I need to go a little bit lower still. All right, let's try that. All right, I think my tools just don't have the right geometry for this right now. I think they're not sharp enough. And also I'm getting a lot of vibration in the center. I mean, I know I mentioned that before, but oh, and already chipped off a chunk there. So that's not good. Chipped a bunch off there. Also not great. Chipped a bunch there. So this should be a lot smoother than it is, and it's not cutting very smoothly. So let's see, what other options do I have here? Let me try this guy. Yeah, these are not going great. And I feel like I'm having to exert a lot of pressure onto the workpiece, and that's putting even more pressure on this center. And that if I hit the knot or whatever, I think that's gonna cause it to crack or cause some other issues. So I'm concerned that this is not going how it's supposed to go. So I have some other tools that I need to clean up before I start using. So, got a bowl gouge. Great question. Maybe not hard. Maybe not hard to tell. Yeah. So, um, so this is the first one I was using. That these are some old traditional tools. They're not high-speed steel, so they don't stay sharp for very long, and I might not have sharpened them very well to begin with. So these are both, I can't remember what the terminology is, but these are both gouges, these first two that I used. And then this is the third one I used. They're basically the same, but just, smaller size, going from large to small. I also have some skews that I could use. In fact, I'm going to try the skew at first and then see how that does. No, and definitely part of the problem here is my technique, because I don't really know what I'm doing. In case that wasn't obviously obvious already. Um, so I think what might make the most sense is pulling out the carbide tools that I haven't ever used, but I need to get them set up. So let's see. Lathe looks old school. It is a little bit old school. Yeah, spindle of roughing gout. Yep, it is hefty duty. Okay, lathe looks old school. Probably do need to. Yeah, I'm sure they do. Um, so ATP, yes, old school. This is the lathe right here. So this is a Sears Roebuck lathe. I believe it predated the Craftsman label. Um, so the only documentation I saw online, kind of an owner's manual of sorts, was from the 1930s for this guy, for this model number. So he is not young. He's probably close to 90-ish years old, but still going strong. Well, somewhat strong. Um, all right. Well, let me try sharpening. So I've got the sharpening system right here. So let's give it a go. I'll switch over the power from the lathe to the belt sander. Actually, before I do that, I think I might need to switch out. Well, I definitely need to make some adjustments here. I think that is a much rougher, let's see, do I have another wrench over here? Yeah, there it is. I need to adjust this guy. And just check and see what my grit is on here. That feels much rougher. Yeah, that's a 60 grit. Not going to use that. So Todd over at LJ Woodworks encouraged me to use 180 grit, which I don't have. So I'll use my 150. There we go. And put this guy back on, although probably not that necessary at the moment. And the other thing that I do want to do is I want to secure this guy with some clamps. Because otherwise he vibrates a lot, which I don't think is good for sharpening. Now I can plug him in. All right, now why is it being so noisy? Who cares? All right, let's see what we can do here. All right, that might be better. But let me throw some dust collection on so I don't have shards of metal everywhere in the shop. All right. There we go. All right. That looks like it might be a little better. All right. Let's sharpen a couple more here. Hey, so this is 150 grit. LJ at or Todd over at LJ Woodworks encouraged me to use 180 grit. They don't have, so 150 is as close as I can get. So I'm gonna adjust this. There we go. So let's see if that helps anything on the lathe side. Means I need to, whoa! Means I need to knock the camera over while trying to move the power over. Okay, you sharpen my chisels at some point. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend using the belt sander for chisels. I hate tools because I want all of them. It's a problem. Yeah, funny. All right, let's see if my tracking. Hey, it does still track. What do you know? Wonder how long it's been over there, and I didn't even notice. Okay, let's see how we're doing now. Okay, no way using, no way using a stone. All right, now ATP. You're not talking about lathe tools, are you? Are you just talking about regular chisels? Because for chisels, I just use a diamond stone. This is way too aggressive. So one at a time. No, I don't have a lathe. Yeah. So yeah, for chisels, I just use a cheap diamond stone that I got from Amazon for relatively cheap, and it works pretty well. And then also just a little like leather strop that I made from some leather that I got. So here's some chisels. Got some other chisels over there. Did have another. Oh, there's one hiding over here. But it's like here's just a little leather strop that I made from some leather and some MDF. So, and then here's the diamond stone that I use. So it's just a 600 grit on one side and 1200 on the other. And that does well enough for what I usually use chisels for. So, all right. Let's see if they address everything there. Don't want to ignore people in the chat. Take that back. My wife's grandpa just gifted me a lathe from like 1920, and it requires a plug-in drill to operate it. Wow. Don't have all cordless right now. That is wild. The 1920. Well, that's even older than this guy, probably. Moment of truth. I think I might need to lower this a little bit more again, if it will lower anymore. Looks like it might not lower anymore. Like that's as low as it goes at the moment, because it's otherwise too close to go any lower. But maybe I need to get that closer actually. So I'm going to scoop this in. So I won't be able to go any lower, but I can go closer. Let's try that. All right, tighten that down. Tighten that down. Got a little bit of wiggle room in the tool rest. Yeah, this just I think I probably just need to bite the bullet and get my carbides ready to use, because I think I just might not be smart enough to use these traditional tools. I'm trying to, they say when you first come in to cut, that you come in and kind of go high and kind of lower it until it starts bringing off shavings. But I'm having to bring it all the way down to basically level with the middle, and see if it'll let me go any lower here. Nope, I'm too close, and my railing here on the bed doesn't allow me to go any lower on the tool rest right now. So yeah. Yeah, and it's just not taking shavings. It's basically just battling and scraping and chipping things off. So it's not sharp enough. I'm probably hitting the wrong angle, and probably lots of other problems too. Any of you that have a lot more experience on lathes have any ideas? Oh, did I lose the feed? You guys can still see me okay? Um, let's see. Need a better stone like you just showed. Junk. Anyone else lose the feed? No, I haven't. Did file the burr from the top of the chisel? No, but in talking with Todd and some of the other stuff that I've read about sharpening the lathe tools, they're like, it's the burr is going to be removed the first time it hits the wood on the lathe. It's like, don't even worry about removing the burr. It's not like chisels in that way. Did it go to an ad? Oh, maybe it froze. Had to restart the app. It's working now. Okay, good. Try what Lawrence said. Yeah, removing the burr. I don't know that that's really gonna do much good. Still see you. I'm sorry, Eric. You still see me? Ooh, sad situation for you. You see me? Okay, just on your end. All right. Mine doesn't. Yours doesn't. Um, let's see. Lawrence, yours doesn't what? Is that a response to me? If so, I don't remember what it was that you would be responding to. Um, but um, yeah, so there's not a burr there now. Um, yeah, I think I might not be getting enough of an angle. It might be too my angle might be too steep, but I don't know. Um, does it feel sharp? I don't really want to cut myself. Um, maybe not. I don't know. But that's after using both of those. Yeah, I mean, that feels sharp. All right, so I'm definitely getting a lot of chatter on this knot. Which also happens to be right around the middle. So I think that's where the most vibration is naturally. That seemed to work a little bit better, but maybe just because, um, it's a little bit smaller, so it's not taking as big a chunks. Let's see. Hey, Ozzy, thanks for being here. In flow state for 200 joules. Sweet. Thank you. Interested in learning what's going on here. Only used a lathe in high school and I loved it. Flower vase. Cool. Use a real sharpening stone by hand. I use Norton and Arkansas Whitestone. Cool. Takes longer. Yeah. But if it works, then great. Looks like it's working though. Just need get those sharp edges removed. That's what it seems like to me. But once again, I'm not a lathe expert by any means, right? Know what speed you're turning. Might have to turn up the speed. Yeah, speed seems slow. So the speed is based on the pulley. And so in order to change the speed, I need to change it to a different speed here. So there's only one faster speed than what I'm on right now. I'm not sure what my speed is, but there's only one speed that's faster. And I can't actually move it to that because my motor is locked into this position. I can move it forward and backward, but I can't move it side to side. So this is my speed until I decide that I want to give myself more options side to side with that motor. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or not. So this is my speed. All right. So, yeah, I think a big part of my problem is that these traditional tools dull very quickly. Um, and I'm working with maple that is, I'm pretty sure it's hard maple, so it's kind of hard. And so it dulls these tools even faster. So I think I should probably be sharpening them like every 10 minutes or so of action, maybe even more frequently than that, because like I said, they're not even high speed steel. They're just um, low speed steel, I guess. But anyway, um, I have to get off. It's late. Oh, hey, Derek, thanks for being here, man. Appreciate it. Um, belt speed change. Yeah, didn't know. Just trying to help. Hey, I appreciate it. I'm just learning myself. This is one of the first things that I've tried to turn on the lathe. I thought it'd be relatively easy, and of course, nothing is. So go. Actually, I'm gonna move this over and get work on these other sides. All right. Okay, so that makes sense. So I've got a knot right there. Like, wow, that is really vibrating a lot. And the knot has come out entirely there. So can you see that? So I've got a hole in there. There's a hole in the workpiece, dear Liza, dear Liza. There's a hole in the workpiece, dear Liza, a hole. How many of you are old enough to know what I'm singing there? Oh, yeah. So this is definitely going to break. So I'm going to call it quits on this practice piece too. Um, um, did anyone ever guess what it is that I'm trying to make for my daughter? Yeah, I didn't even get it down to round. But I think a big part of my problem on this workpiece is that I've got knots here. It looks like knots in there and over here, knot over here. And then compounding that is all the vibration that's happening right at these knots. And so that was causing the workpiece to jump a lot when I was working on these pieces. Um, and then just, not having sharp enough tools and not having good enough technique. So put it all together and you've got a recipe for this instead of what I wanted. So, all right. I think I'm going to have to eat out the carbides and maybe get out the carbides and maybe even get a better piece of maple to work with that doesn't have the knots and doesn't have um, the cracks. Might even need to fill one of them with epoxy, fill the cracks with epoxy, and even if I end up removing all of the epoxied parts, that would at least allow me to turn it without it breaking apart. So we'll see. All right. So thanks everyone for being here. Sorry I ended up not being able to accomplish my goal of making drumsticks for my daughter. All right. See you all next time.